baseball stadium t-shirt cannon.
Yes. Can that be my sidearm? No. A bland t-shirt.
Cybernation Uncensored.
Rob is saying they can't hear us.
Yeah, our audio is not coming through on Twitch.
You
Oh,
gods.
no,
He's
just Brandon's, because there's my voice.
Just me. Excellent.
Just those two things.
How about now?
Can you all hear Brandon now?
Can you hear me now?
Now they can.
Excellent. Okay.
there we go.
My audio input capture went to default, and I don't know what that ended up becoming, because it should be this mic right here.
Default is just F you.
Technology. But anyway, despite all the technical issues, we are on the air. We finally made it. It seems like you can hear us and see us. Everybody test your mics. Just let us know if you can't hear anybody specifically.
Test.
And the microphone. Well, if we all talk at once, then
That's
nobody will know
true.
who's who, but that's okay.
That just adds a challenge for our fellow viewers.
It's just,
Yes.
can you
It's
put
a
the
stealth-
voice to the face?
It's a stealth-based game anyway, right?
Oh yeah, very much stealth based. So as I was saying before, into the void, this is Last of Us 2D20 based on Fallout 2D20, which is a game by Modiphius, which I highly recommend picking up. And if you're curious about the rules by which we are playing, it is almost completely Fallout 2D20, just with a Last of Us reskin. Some of the things that I've changed are the perks, the crafting system, character sheets, some of the skills that are being used. We're not using as many skills as Fallout uses. But as a 2D20 system, in a nutshell, low rolls are good, high rolls are bad, and that's how you play. There you go. But
Very user-friendly and intuitive system, yes.
Very user-friendly. So now seems like as good a time as any to introduce you to our players, our cast of characters right here, starting with Vampire Bites.
I am Vampire Bites. You can find me in Discord. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me, or in various Twitch audiences, and Friday nights on the High Riders campaign right here.
Excellent. Alex?
Hi everyone, I'm Alex Maxwell. You can find me in the Cybernation Uncensored Discord under Maxwell. You can also find me playing Saturdays as Scarecrow in the Nevermore campaign. You can find me on Twitter under @AlexRMaxwell.
Awesome. Riley.
Hello, everybody. I'm Riley Manis. You can also freshly find me in the Cybernation Uncensored Discord. Also on my Twitter at @ManisVO. Pleasure to be here and joining you all on Monday nights.
Yes, and Troy.
Yes. Hi, my name is Troy Bliss. I am new to the crew here, and where you can find me, I'm not super prolific on my personal socials, but DMs After Dark is where you'll find me on socials. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and any podcast service worth their salt.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So I'm going to get started by telling you a little bit about what to expect from me as a GM, the way I run my games, and the way we're going to be running this one. So we aren't using a VTT. We're going to go pen and paper, rolling real dice, which means I'm going to be trusting you guys to be honest with your rolls.
Failure is more interesting.
Failure is very interesting, especially in the 2d20 space here, because you can get complications when you roll certain heights. Usually it's when you roll a 20 you get a complication. However, if it's a more difficult challenge, then the complication could be rolled at an 18 or 19 or a 20 or something along those lines. Complications can range from, like, stubbing your toe really bad to, you've alerted more enemies than you normally would have. They're coming from other rooms or something along those lines. So fun times. I'm going to be running this game based on the video game version of Cordyceps, which means you're not necessarily going to be alerting everything in the vicinity by stepping on the wrong tendril of cordyceps on the ground or anything like that. It's going to be more watch out for the spores. You've all been given a face mask, a particle mask, to be able to help you with that. It's in your inventory, so feel free to use it. Hey, excellent.
Nice.
Awesome, props.
Well done. Well done.
Well, very well done. That's what Amazon is for, my friends. So for cosplay. So yeah, I try to run as fair a game as possible. I try to keep it as interesting as I can. That said, I keep an open door, so let me know personally, DMs or whatever, if there's ever any issue, if you feel like I made a bad call, if you feel like somebody at the table is talking too much, and we can work these things out as a group too. Now on to the next order of business. Is there anything that you guys would like to see in this game? When you imagine this game, what are you expecting? What do you hope to see? Feel free to just jump in.
I know the least out of all of us about The Last of Us, so what I'm looking for mostly is just atmosphere and getting that zombie apocalypse feeling. So I don't have any lore specific ideas or anything like that, but yeah, that the atmosphere is my main intent.
Yeah, the big one for me is that which is the whole question of which is worst. Is it the thing with with fungus growing out of its head, or is it the hungry guy with the gun? Answer, it's both, just in different ways, and that's I live for that shit. And again, like the visceralness of it. That's Last of Us hits different because it's so like grounded.
Yes. On that note, does anybody take exception with gory description?
The Thing is one of my favorite movies of all time, so just lay it on heavy.
Okay, is everybody on the same page there, or any issues there? It's a weak stomach or anything? It's
Gory
okay.
description is totally fine. The only kind of hard X that I would appreciate is no, extreme like violence towards children. If we could maybe refrain from that, that would be good. Otherwise, everybody else deserves it. So,
So as long as they're an adult, it's good to go. All right. So, are there any other elements in the game that you would rather, or things that you would rather not see in the game? I know a big one is usually violence against children, as that's a great example. A lot of times, violence against animals as well.
It's,
So I don't know how you feel about that.
it's the
Invincible doggo question mark.
There
send
is a
in the dog.
doggo.
Yeah, send the dog. He's got
And then
plot
the
armor.
dog,
No,
he's good.
no, it's the because I I accept that there is a good chance that my dog meat could very possibly die. Um, I'm fine with that. It's like the whole thing is like torturing animals, like animal cruelty. No, but like if there's like a raging bear or a pack of wild dogs, like you have to defend yourself. And also, and if the dog dies, I mean, we've all seen I Am Legend, right?
Yeah,
That's
it
if my
happens.
dog if my dog dies, I'll hurt everyone with it. Um, but
Just
uh,
pull a Will Smith at the Grammys and just start slapping the shit out of everybody.
yeah. No, but like and my hard X's are they're things that would get us banned on Twitch anyway. So it's
Yeah.
the things are just like like explicit shit, like sexual shit. It's like
Yeah.
um no one wants that. No one needs that. Um, otherwise, then I can pretty much handle whatever's out there.
Yeah, I think one of the beauties of role playing games in general is just the idea to take your creative energy and manifest it into other things that people can experience. And a lot of times, especially virtually, that's through description. So I am very much looking forward to kind of, you know, emphasizing on kind of the five senses, not only, okay, this is what you have before you, but what does it look like? What does it smell like? Is there, is just using those kind of five senses has always been something that I've really enjoyed when a DM can, or a game master can kind of put into effect. And then also kind of similar to what Alex said, that juxtaposition between, hey, there are these monsters, but also like we are the monsters and we've always been here. So
Mhm.
I like that a lot.
That is one thing about surviving in the Last of Us universe is you have to do some stuff to be able
Right.
to make it 20 years, which is where we are in this.
Right.
We're starting at the same time as the game, 20 years after the initial infection and the apocalypse. So, are there any other hard X's that we need to discuss or that you'd like to bring up? No, that's okay. I know for me, a big one is suicide. I probably won't be going into that. There may be, descriptions of rooms where it may indicate that something like that may have happened, but I won't go into detail. For the most
Perfect.
part, things like that. That's just one of the ones for me. And as you'd mentioned before, I'm going to be avoiding anything that's hard sexual content, or anything like that. It's just awkward at the table anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Despite how Twitch feels about it. So
Right.
yeah. All right. So now that we've gone through that stuff, let's start talking about your characters. Starting with Alex. How old is your character? Are they pre-apocalypse or were they born during the mess?
So Elias is he's pre-apocalypse. He was in his mid-20s before shit hit the fan. So that put him in his around his mid to like late mid-40s. And he's been it's less years and more mileage at this point for him.
Mhm. All right. And has he killed a human before?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he has.
And what was that like for him?
Um, it was. Is it definitely something where, yeah, after the fact, like his hands wouldn't stop shaking, and he just constantly try and scrub it clean, and never quite feel like you get the blood off. But um, then after that first time, that first sip, that first hit, it gets easier, and then it became very easy and very necessary.
So, another question then there is, was that kill before or after the apocalypse?
To in the midst of, it was, when everything was fire and panic, fight or flight. He was given that choice, and he immediately went fight, and uh yeah, he got his hands extremely dirty.
Okay. Riley, I'm going to ask you the same questions. So, how old is your character?
Percy is going to be 22 years old. So just barely pre-apocalypse, just a toddler when it happened. Ended up being kept safe by his parents.
All right. Has it killed?
No, he's not. At least not people.
Okay. So he's killed infected.
Maybe one or two, just out of sake of necessity. Pops put him through it, trying to make him tough. Old Southern teachings.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Like taking him out hunting.
Yep.
All right, Troy. How old is your character?
Similar to Alex's character, my character has been around since before the apocalypse. I'm going to say he's probably early to mid 40s. Um, Adam, as many know him, very select few call him Jazz, which is a name from the world before everything went to shit. But for Adam, he's in an interesting situation because his world went to shit before the outbreak happened. And since the outbreak happened, um, it's provided him kind of an opportunity to kind of twofold. Number one, recognize the terrible things that humanity is capable of, and kind of help him come to terms with normalizing what happened to him in his life. And also, every now and then he catches a glimpse of those kind of shining moments of humanity and the best that they have to offer. So it's kind of also giving him a little bit of hope to kind of keep going. There might be something more out there. So,
Right. So
I
has he killed?
yeah, as far as if he's killed before, I'm gonna say infected. Yes, he was prior military before the infection occurred, but he was a helicopter mechanic, so he never killed a human being. Although he has seen people die in his presence, but for very different reasons.
Okay. Vampire Bites. First of all, I'm gonna say happy birthday, sir. Or
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you.
Happy
Today
birthday.
is also Gray's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday to
Oh.
Gray.
So we're both 52.
Okay. So,
That's for the convenience of that means I get to cosplay as myself to play Gray. So it's all good.
excellent. See, that's
And
smart.
yes, money is still an appropriate gift.
That's what, yeah, Gray's Gray is pre-apocalypse.
Okay.
Gray tends to try to not fight for the most part. So he has not killed what he would consider a human being. Infected, sure. He's been in some scrapes where he's had to get out of them.
Okay. What are some events that shaped your character?
So Gray was raised in a small rural community. And Raiders came in. There was no Fedra or Firefly or anything like that. It was just us looking out for each other. Raiders came in and basically slaughtered what was left of the community. and Gray went off to become a smuggler because he's really good at hiding and getting through places. Well, we're not talking about that particular defining event yet because that's coming up next week or
Right.
in 2 weeks. Um,
Yeah, so to
Yeah.
clarify on that for anybody that's watching, I have given a specific consideration to each of the players to add to their backstory, but they're not allowed to talk about it on stream today because I want them to talk to each other in character and for these things to come out naturally. Um, you know, maybe somebody will say a name and it'll click. Maybe somebody will mention an event and it'll click. We'll see what happens. So, expanding on that, let's talk about a little bit of what shaped Elias.
I just like, just in general, like life, like all life events, or things like primary like cornerstones, or
Yeah, some things that make him who he is today. Some things that, maybe changed him.
I think for better or for worse. It was initially, of course, for the better. It was the birth of his son. Yeah, it dragged him out of a very like stagnant lifestyle. It got him, back into, working. It got him, not a glamorous job, but we worked at like a wildlife sanctuary, and had been until the world collapsed. Then it was following that. Of course, the first time he watched the light go out of someone's eyes was another one that kind of like started the jading process. But is that living in this reality of, you keep what you kill, and when you've got someone relying on you, just you'll do whatever it takes. And so Elias went from, from being the kind of like sedentary and like non-confrontational that sort, to being the kind of guy who, if he has to, will go for your throat with his own teeth.
Ooh. Very visceral description. I love that.
Yeah, I guess it's a good thing we're not playing red. Otherwise, you'd be rolling humanity loss, or you'd be taking humanity loss.
Oh, yeah. If this was red, Elias would be sitting pretty at like a 3, maybe less. Yeah, no,
right on the edge.
No, good old boy. Good old boy's dead inside.
All right, Percy. Let's talk about some of the things that shaped you.
I mean, what hasn't for Percy? Unlike the other individuals in our story, Percy didn't have a life prior to what was going on outside of what his parents made happen for him. He wasn't exactly conscious of the fact a fungal infection showed up and decimated the world. So it's been living like this, being raised like this. Not a ton of children around, considering the dangerous circumstances as he grew up, and not really getting to do a ton because what parent is going to let a kid walk around even in a QZ, let alone out in the wild when you're trying to survive? So a lot of it was just him and his little brother, taking care of each other, playing with whatever toys mom and dad could scrounge up while they were still kids, learning to do basic things that were quiet and safe when they needed to, and just making a living for themselves in the QZ. Like I mentioned earlier, Dad took care of him in terms of realizing how dangerous the world is by taking him out to practice shooting and understanding what the infected are. But shaped is hard to describe when all of his life has been this.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a solid point, and I like that dynamic that you have spent your whole life surviving, right? So that's an interesting thing to bring into it, and an interesting thing to think about while you're role playing. is, this is who you are. You pretty much are a child of the apocalypse here. Oh, yes. Now, Adam, same question for you. What are some of the events that you feel like truly contributed to who you are now? I know there's some you can't talk about, but the ones that you can.
Yeah, so I think not sure if our characters have known each other for any length of time or not yet, but as I mentioned before, I was around for 20, 25 years before the outbreak first happened. I didn't need the world to go to shit for my world to go to shit. So when I was younger and growing up, I was in a band with some of my closest friends. I was a jazz musician. I loved to play the guitar. My character to this day, he wears a guitar pick around his neck as kind of a reminder of a person that he once was, and kind of maybe deep down inside, there's a part of him that hopes he might be able to be that person again someday. But my character has had a rough go with substance abuse. So he, from a young age into his teenage years and into his early adulthood, it's a big part of what caused his life to fall apart. He had a family at one point. He doesn't anymore. He enlisted in the military to try to find that camaraderie again, and when that was over, he found nothing but betrayal. So he's had a rough go. One of the interesting things I'm very much looking forward to kind of role playing with my character is we've talked about a little bit ahead of time the years and years of hard substance abuse that this character has taken a toll on his psyche. And I will personally, Troy Bliss will be absent roughly once every 3 streams, and we've got an alt ginger we're subbing in. His name's Rainey. He's a great guy, and he'll be a great role player here. But he's going to be playing my character when my character has these kind of I don't know how to best describe them. Maybe episodes or lapses of conscious, where he reverts to someone else, a different type of behavior, a different type of thinking, a different type of everything. So that's going to pose a really interesting and exciting role-playing opportunity for me, because I feel like every time I come back after being gone, there's going to be some dumpster fire I've got to put out. But that'll be really good. So yeah, after the outbreak happened, he has been, again, just trying to survive. So he uses all of the bad things that he sees to justify not taking accountability for the bad things in his life, and he uses the good things that he sees to justify maybe there's some hope for him to get redemption. So
Yeah, that's something that we talked about a little bit when we had our chat before. That you could be coming up with a plan, and then all of a sudden Rainey comes in next episode, has no idea what the plan is, and
right,
does something completely different. So
yeah,
so
it'll be good.
who knows? Leroy Jenkins,
Leroy Jenkins, full send.
C4 is always an option. Clack.
Oh God, I love it. Yeah.
All right, do you have any surviving family or friends?
Oof, friends is a bit of a stretch, but there are absolutely at least 2 people from my past that are still around that caused me a lot of strife, but also are intimately intertwined with my past. I may possibly have a wife and a child. I don't know if they're still alive. So.
Okay. Vampire Bites. How about you? Do you have any surviving family, friends?
Not a one. After the 2 different incidents, where the initial one where the entire town got wiped out and Gray managed to sneak away, and then the other one that we'll talk about starting next session, no friends left at all.
Yeah. All right.
Insert crew. Hey, friends.
Eli's like, yeah, people.
The best of us is absolutely going to be the dog. Let's just be honest.
It's best boy. Speaking of which, a dog is not named. I'll leave that up to like the crew here, and also if chat wants to put forward names for our best boy or girl.
Ooh, yeah, that could be a good one to leave up to the viewers. See what they come up with.
Yeah, I'd say let's put that up to chat right now. If anybody wants to name the dog, and you know, say best boy, good girl. But
What kind of dog? What kind of doggo is it, by the way? What breed?
Because Elias worked at a rehabilitation center. It's like either like a bit like a wolf dog or like a coyo dog. Someone's mutt got out and came back from a weekend bender out in the Appalachian wilds. Like this, what the fuck am I gonna do with this? But but yeah, it's a very large, it's very large, massive paws, solid chompers, mutton chops. You know,
Mutton chops. I love it. Nice work, Cold Spider.
yes, excellent. So on that note, for Elias, surviving family or friends, I guess you've got a best friend in your dog.
yes,
But,
yes.
beyond that.
Beyond that, he's his ex-wife. He's unsure if she's still alive, but um, last he heard of her, she was going off and joining some bug-centered extremist group.
Ah, got it. Reference caught. And Riley, how about your character? Surviving family, friends.
Percy's very fortunate to have all the family he's ever known still around him. Ma, pa, and a little brother.
All right, that's good. So you got people to rely on. But that's very risky in an RPG, as you know, have surviving relatives.
These are things I love. Here you are.
I've done that too. I did that in my game with Rob, who is in the chat, by the way. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
With the Cyberpunk Red game that I play with him, I've got some family in that, and it was one of the scariest things that I ever did as a player was to have surviving family in a game. So
Good. It's good. It gives knives. It gives you knives to use later if you want. So
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. It doesn't mean I'll bite, but it's there.
yep, absolutely.
All right. Anything else you guys wanted to talk about with your characters? I know we've dug in a little bit about your past, about who you are, about the things that shaped you. Do you have something specific that you'll never forget? You know, a memory that's become a recurring nightmare? Do you have a positive memory, something that you look back on? Feel free to just speak up, jump in.
The kicker for Elias, the one that's it just through at the tail, not tail end, but like smack dab in the middle of everything that has just turned him into the survivor who like avoids people, at the best of his ability, who's jaded and a is hateful in the sense of to whom it may concern. He doesn't hate any particular person or group. He just doesn't like people. Um, but it was the slow death of his son. He wasn't shot or bit, but he had a chronic condition that he had from a very young age. And when scarcity occurred, Elias is forced to watch that it take its toll, and watched his son waste away. And there's this that left him with that thing. He's just like, well,
Yeah.
that's where that's his existence, and he's if it wouldn't be for his dog, he'd definitely probably be like a cannibal somewhere or something. Like that's that like that grounding bit of just like, okay, like I've got something I can take care of, when the dog is actually like, dude, just I'm taking care of you, shut the fuck up. But um yeah, so he has definitely like that dog codependency, for better or for worse. But he's surviving out in the wilderness. Um, After like a lot of that time, like the good memories get murky. He'll remember, like he'll hear a song and he'll get like misty eyed and remember like that was good at one point. But just the yeah, the hard moon, like the rock gut moonshine, and just like obsessive ideation has kind of like smoothed out a lot of the deeper wrinkles in his brain.
That's deep.
Gray has a lot of survivor's guilt um, that may lead him to take rash actions when he shouldn't. He's mostly a very hide, get away, run away type of person, but that survivor's guilt leaves a little bit on him, and there will be times where he'll run into situations that he probably shouldn't.
Hmm. I think for Jazz, his actions, both past, present, and possibly future, we'll find out. Kind of everything that he does is in an effort to try to avoid confronting the difficult things that he doesn't want to face. So he's very much a person of kind of for Jazz, ignorance is bliss, right? He had a wife, he had a child. If he sees someone that might be his kid's age and they're doing well, it's easier for him to think, well, maybe my kid's doing great, right? Maybe my ex-wife is happy, maybe she's doing wonderful, right? And then in those really dark and difficult moments where he sees the worst in humanity, he can't help but quietly think, maybe that's what happened to the family that I left behind.
Yeah.
So he, again, in the substance abuse, in the leaving his family, not albeit not completely his choice, but all of those things have kind of there's a lot that's unknown for Jazz. I think one of the good things though is he is as someone who is a former mechanic and who is very very much a grease monkey. In a post-apocalyptic setting, there's no shortage of work that requires his expertise. So I think he probably is able to get along all right with people from all different backgrounds as long as they're handy with a tool. It's like a bunch of folks shooting the shit in the shop. So that's it's maybe a surface level connection that he has with a lot of people, but it gets him by, so he doesn't have to think about the hard questions.
Yeah, it's understandable. It's good. Percy, what are you thinking?
Well, a lot of it I think comes down to perspective for things that he doesn't forget. I think the best thing that comes to mind right now is one of his first infected kills, and most likely his first, would have been very safe. It would have been, like you said before, hunting. A little bit more about them. His family is from Louisiana. Uh, Dad was a hunter on the north side of New Orleans, uh, which is why treating it like it's a sport is how he was introduced to it. Whereas Gray and Adam and Elias might have to think this is someone who once had humanity within them, and there's a light that's gone out, and they might have ideas on are they still in there or not. While Percy may know that they were a human once, he doesn't see that. That's that's a creature that could hurt mom or dad or Joseph, his little brother. It's not someone who once was, it's something that is dangerous. And his first time, he remembers leaning into that stock on that old hunting rifle that dad brought with him to get him out. And he remembers pulling the trigger and it being relatively easy.
So, being from a place that's so safe, imagining that you know, might not be in that city, that area that you grew up right now, what might have led you to leave? Is it curiosity? Uh, what what do you think hypothetically would put you in a situation to meet people like the other characters that you see here?
Many possibilities. He is of age, and he has been for a couple years, so he's definitely taken up menial, basic labor. Uh, ration cards gotta come in somehow, and it can't just be mom and dad, especially when they're pushing towards 60. But it's them, like we said, the knives are my family members, and one of them may have gotten pulled, and that might be why I gotta go somewhere, or I think I have to go somewhere.
Good answer. So, any other thoughts on your character? Anything else that has kind of bubbled up in this conversation that you feel you'd want to share with the audience before we dive in 2 weeks?
It's it want to keep it a surprise. Well, where in the continental U.S. are we congregating?
Well, I can tell you that it is in New York.
Okay.
Season.
Oh, I'm a Yankee land. Fuck.
Yeah, who knows how you got there?
Yes.
A
How
bit of
about
travel.
the season, Brandon? What time of year is it?
Season is late summer.
Late summer.
Late
nice and
summer, so
balmy.
still warm, but you get the odd morning cool breeze, the scent of autumn on the air. Um, uh, just the catch, just the leaves are maybe just starting to turn. But it's that impending sense of death that comes when autumn is at its cusp, but you're not quite there.
I think I don't know if anyone else has any ideas or wants to discuss it, but how about our characters' connections to one another, if we have any? Is that something we want to try to discuss in a session 0, or what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I'm prepared either way. If you guys know each other at all, if just a couple of you know each other, if none of you know each other at all, I'm prepared to handle that in our session 1.
So,
Go ahead.
Gray is kind of a caravan nomadic smuggler. So he's bounced around a bit. And now that he's running solo, he could easily have run for any of them in their back at their home turf. And when we finally meet up, it's like, I recognize you. But I don't know that he would know anybody in particular other than through past crossed paths.
What is it that you've smuggled in the past? A little bit of everything?
You're muted.
When I was with a crew, it would be whatever we could fit as a group. But now that he's solo, it's more if I can fit it in a duffel bag.
Okay. There's definitely a connection that's possible between our characters there. So
Absolutely. Any other thoughts? Do you guys know each other, or do you think you would be here on your own? And when I'm talking New York, I'm talking New York City, not just New York State. New York State is massive, and I was originally considering that, but New York City, despite being as bombed out as it was, there are still some standing buildings and still some population centers that have developed there. So to give you an idea of where you're starting, that's the place.
I'm thinking since Elias would, be living off the land as he does, is his primary method of trade, is hunting and trapping, and just trading goods with official settlements, or if he spots a smuggler on the road, it's like, don't shoot. I've got like leather and buckhorn. You've got a water purifier. So you could easily have gone and you traded animal goods for necessities, toiletries, for God's sake. The odd box 308 or something.
Wilderness trader for the city slickers. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just imagining now, like the if we're gonna be running any like like generation down the line, like the New York City wild lion because of the Central Park Zoo just being bust open. It's like, oh fuck,
Love it.
that ain't no bear. uh, but yeah, that's this. He's very it's like yeah of the land. You know, that's how he that's how he makes his day to day. So that depending on the routes people have taken, or if we've all been in New York for a little while, um, definitely would have just scrounged up food for settlers.
I guess that leads to a good question because we are just talking about New York City. What kind of state are we in terms of New York City? Is this a QZ? Is this the water purification facility, the dam? What kind of location are we in terms of like civilization?
So former QZ. So population there rose up, killed off most of Fedra. What remains of Fedra are former Fedra that swore off. Basically swore against Fedra in order to save their own lives. So you do get the odd Fedra soldier around that is loyal to, the cause, essentially as a military. But this QZ a while back overcame Fedra. They're now an established colony, and there's a mix of people there. There are some famous smugglers that now work in this area. Um, that that are fairly well known. I'm trying not to give too much away here, but I'll leave it at that. There. Feel free to ask more questions about the game and where you are and what's going on.
Feel like from a character connection standpoint, if it's okay with you, Percy, I'd be okay with Adam kind of being friends with Percy. I know you said you were kind of doing just menial work, kind of grunt work and stuff like that. It's very possible that I you said, hey, well, maybe this kid, he's a hard worker and he grew up and he hasn't known a life other than this stuff. So it's possible that Jazz would kind of see in you almost like a sense of innocence, like you represent kind of the hope kind of thing sometimes. So maybe instead of doing that, just shit manual labor, every now and then there's some sort of mechanical job that's got to be done. And, if you make yourself just there at the shop more often than not, someone will throw a wrench at you and tell you, hey, come here, check this out, do this, do that, kind of thing. If you're okay with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's kind of what that toss out there was, bleeding into where we do know each other. Because if we're gonna end up in a group, it's good to have these base connections. And I do like that, both for the fact that Percy Percy has perk tools 1, excuse me, but also finding those base connections. And actually, I was thinking for both Elias and Gray, not Percy in particular, but both of you probably have a pretty solid chance of having brushed into either of my parents, either Jonathan or Carrie Ward, because Elias, especially for you, dad is a deer hunter. He is a tried and true deer hunter. That's what he did. That's what Grandpappy did. And for you, Gray, I mean, that's traded goods, that's traded food. You know, maybe you saw me when I was younger and growing up. If we've been up here for a while, maybe you're like, who is this kid? And you hear some mannerisms. But a chance to have another connection to the NYC group, since both of you seem a little going out and being out rather than settled in.
You're inviting us to go. I remember when you were this big, like,
Dude,
like
Shit.
say you remember
Sunday
spitting me on your
church
knee.
all over again.
Knee high to
Uh,
a grasshopper.
Yeah, I like that. It's definitely it being like more migratory. It's not just being like more around probably like the Kentucky hollers is where came up, and and in 20 years of travel he probably would have made his way down to into New Orleans, and then like and thereabouts, uh probably looking for like the crown jewel of like one of the last bottles of unopened Pimm's Cup. um
Pims.
it's like it's like I miss good booze, like, but yeah. Yeah, and if there's a place to find it, it's probably going to be New Orleans or St. Louis. Um, but yeah, I probably come down and like traded, especially if it's like a family commune of hunters. Is like, okay, like how much of X do I need to give you for like half a box of rifle rounds? Or it's like gun cleaner, or for God's sake, do you have any soap? Or at the very least like KFC towelettes so I can like
KFC donuts. The Colonel sends his love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Go ahead.
and very similarly, probably like if both on the road they could have run into Grant at some point. Specifically like, you got any goods? None I can sell you. Fair. And they just like keep on going. It's the very it's like drive by Kings of the Hills, like busy day? Yep. Mm-hmm. And
Love that. That's good.
Yeah, and that brings me to another point. Something that I can bring up is currency in this day and age is not actually money so much, but ammunition and drugs, things like that, medication, mostly ammunition in this area. They trade in ammunition, so you're basically using up your money when you're firing a bullet. That said, people have killed for it. They'll go after you for your ammunition. So something to keep in mind as you're walking around the wastes of New York.
I like it.
All right.
If I can ask, Gray, just I don't recall. My short-term memory might be really calling me out here. Were there any connections you wanted to speak on or touch on?
No, I hadn't spoken up yet, but all of the ideas that have come up fit well within. I think it's so the trading though. For Adam, right? I'm trying to keep character names in place.
Yeah. Yep.
So especially with money being primarily ammunition and whatnot, smuggling isn't always, to me, I think, a get particle A from point B to point C. Sometimes it's trading. Sometimes it's like, yeah, and that would tie into when going down into Louisiana to meet Percy. Even it's like, okay, you guys have food. I know where I can get rid of food. I think.
Yeah, even information, right? I feel like information has always been the most valuable resource in all of humanity's existence. So arguably that's still the case.
Absolutely. If you know of a location that hasn't been scrounged or scoured yet, that's gold.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yep.
You find some very important things there.
Yep.
I think it would also be this is kind of more up to you, Brandon, but maybe it's possible vampire bites. It's possible your character knows a little bit about it's possible I go by Jazz according to a very select few people, but I guess we'll kind of leave that. I don't want to throw out any spoilers or nothing like that, but something for you to stew on, Brandon.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Shit. Love it.
Yeah. Okay. So, with that, any final thoughts or questions that come up before we say goodbye and move on?
Just want to reiterate for the crowd, still looking for a name for the doggo. So
Oh
for the next
yes.
2 weeks, do you guys think of anything good? Hit us up on social medias, message us, let us
Yep.
know what you think. So
So far we have mutton chops. That is in the
Yep.
first place slot because it's the only one we have right now.
I was
Which
hoping
isn't
that-
bad.
mutton chops. You could
Yeah.
call him Mutt too for short, which seems like a very Alice old guy thing to do.
Yeah, and it's more dignified than what my uncle called his two dogs. God damn it and son of a bitch.
Second entry, cupcake.
Cupcake.
Ooh.
WB.
Excellent. Well done, PWB.
Awesome.
Okay.
No, I'm super excited for the game. So
Me too. Me too. Thanks again for putting up with all the tech issues that we had starting off. But the good news is we've got them ironed out, and hopefully for episode 1 we'll be able to start in perfect time and everything will be good. I want to thank each of you players for putting so much thought and effort into your characters. That's something that I love to see because it means that you're invested. And knowing that you're invested, it knows that you're going to want to keep your characters alive. We're not just playing a game here, we're role playing through situations that are life and death. And that's something that I'm excited to see how you deal with various situations. Do you have a thought, Riley?
I do actually. I may be behind on this, but while we may not do any exciting action rolls, we do owe you ammunition rolls for getting started next week, don't we?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So if I remember off the top of my head, that was 5d6 for small arms, the sidearm, and 5d6 for long arm ammunition.
I guess
And,
I
I had a related question.
Yeah.
Bow and arrow, same or does not count as a long arm?
It'll count as a long arm for the sake of gameplay. So you can roll the same amount, even if you end up with a ton of arrows. that's fine. It's still currency.
I had already rolled, and I ended up with 15 revolver rounds and 27 arrows.
That's an amazing roll. So well done.
The perfect dice for this roll too.
I haven't seen
solid.
those
I love
before.
that. I love that.
I did use my bullet dice.
I guess so I too I thought that may had to have been established previously. I've got 14 for the revolver and 18 for the rifle.
Yes.
So less than average on both, but it's fine. It's fine. I do
fine.
also notably have I left this one up to Rainey, so maybe he can give you all a backstory to start next time. But my melee weapon is a giant monkey wrench named Helga. So there's a story there.
Nice.
Okay.
And which skill is going to be for the bow?
The bow is going to be under guns, believe it or not.
Good.
Yeah. So
I am happy with that. I am not complaining.
yes, I could have added archery in there, but just think of it as guns / archery,
just
for
thought it
now,
wasn't
or ranged
athletic.
weaponry. Yeah.
The shoot skill. Make thing go that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Pointy end goes in the person. Oh. I need a calculator now. Okay.
Percy will be walking around with 12 revolver rounds and 20 hunting rifle rounds.
Hey, nice. Well done.
Then I will be walking around with. Damn. Okay. So it'll be 18 revolver for a Modiphius Ent 25 rifle.
Wow. Okay. Some
With
very
Things
good rolls in
right
there.
there.
Just
Good.
muffle all that jingle between.
So just bubble wrap just in there with all these.
It's midsummer. He's not
Wrap-
gonna need his jacket, right?
Wraps it in the only thing louder than jingling metal bubble wrap.
Well,
A
but
recycled sun chip bag, just
aluminum foil.
aluminum foil. Oh shit.
the, the foil on brass is yeah.
Cellophane boots of sneaking. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, it's a stealth game, so feel free to try all of those things.
Puts down rocket propelled grenade launcher.
So just uses like the RPG tube to bludgeon people. Doesn't actually like use the rocket.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
counts as an improvised weapon. You could
There
use.
you go.
Yeah,
Certainly saves on ammunition.
it's true.
You have to verbalize thunk kapow, thunk kapow.
It's like an old Batman episode.
Yeah. So I'm still waiting for the chance in a tabletop game or even like a normal game, because no game takes like understands that that back blast exists, and and taking out an enemy combatant with back blast in a game of some form or another. It's like you in particular. Immediately deep fried. All right.
Yeah.
And on the rules they said the melee weapons break after a certain number of uses, correct?
Not all melee weapons. The improvised melee weapons will not, as far as I recall. I can double check that. Seeing as how I'm the one that revised the rules, I should remember off the top of my head, but here we are.
Who made this game?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
I
a-
did.
That's exactly why I chose to do a baseball bat, so it wouldn't break.
It was
There you go. Louisville Slugger. Shit.
improvised melee weapons do not break on number of uses. However, things like machetes and hatchets and shivs do, just like in the game. But that said, you can rip a table leg off and use it as a club. That counts as an improvised weapon. So if anything ever happened to your baseball bat, to your wrench, there's opportunities out there. If you got stuck in a situation where you didn't have your weapons, then there's potential for weapons to still be around.
Bust out one of these bad boys.
It's 2x4.
There you go. Yeah, all of the
Wait.
chairs happen to be made out of solid Amish wood.
I mean, that was like this fucking like 8d6 bludgeoning, just a whole on like ladder back chair, cave in the front of a car with it. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Here's a lazy boy for you. Drops on head. Oh shit. Love it.
All right. Okay. So I think that's a pretty good spot for us to wrap up and say goodbye for now. But I'm really excited to start playing in 2 weeks. I've done a lot of prep. I put a lot of thought into this. I'm trying to make it fun without railroading too much or anything along those lines either. I want you guys to feel like you've got your choice and your freedom to play this game and play your character, more importantly. So hopefully that's something that you feel like you're equipped to be able to do. I know that you've talked a lot about your characters in depth, and you as players know that. Just remember, your characters might not know all of this. So feel free to share with each other what, if you know each other already, what you know about each other, what you don't know. That's okay if you guys wanted to do that just on your own. But other than that, I think that's pretty much that. I just wanted to thank everybody that's in the audience right now, everybody that's watching. I can't wait to get started, see your comments and reactions as things happen and things go down. I'm so excited. I can't even tell you. I've got a map sitting on my desk right in front of me, and it's one of a few different maps that I'll be using. And I, yeah, I'm just psyched beyond measure. So, with that said, I want to thank Sirenscape for the ambient sounds that you've been getting throughout this stream. And I want to thank all of these players once again for doing such a great job on your characters. Honestly, I'm inspired. I love seeing what you've all come up with. Thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you on the 20th.
Yeah,
Thank you
see
very
y'all
much,
on the
everybody.
20th.
Bye.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Later.